Welcome to InfoCard's podcast, sponsored by Vision One Golf. Hit it straighter, hit it farther, putt like a maniac. VisionOneGolf.com. Now on with our show. Today I have John Lentini back with me as co-host. Hello, John.
Hello. How is everybody?
I think we're all doing good, and you want to talk up a little bit there, John. Today, John, we're going to be talking with Rex Seawright, love the last name, of Precast Concrete site here in Indio. And we usually talk to people about being entrepreneurs and what that means in today's day and age. And Rex is certainly an interesting individual in the sense that he's been around as the president of the Precast Concrete out here for 28 years. And so he's seen pre-internet, early internet, the collapse of the internet, Web 2.0 now, and all the things that he's having to go through. So welcome to the show, Rex. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Peter. Thank you very much for having me.
Good. And you're Seawright Custom Precast Inc., correct?
That is correct.
All right, great. Now, Rex, did you start the business out here, just from scratch, out in the Coachella Valley, just from scratch?
Well, I originally started installing other people's products in Arizona back in '82.
Ah.
And then we started expanding into Nevada and California with installs. And we went through a bad time in Phoenix in the late 80s, and moved to California here and worked on a couple of projects in 89 and 90, and then hit the 90s recession. And we managed to make it through that. And at that point in time, we were deciding, should we go back to Phoenix and find a job, or should we start our own business here in the manufacturing of the precast? So that's when Nancy and I decided to start the manufacturing, and that was in 1997. And here we are today.
Well, now, so you've seen, in the earlier days when you decided to start your business, how did you find business typically?
Drove around in a pickup truck and knocked on doors.
Okay, yeah, well, that's the way it was kind of done in those days. Kind of you get out and pound the pavement, knock on doors.
Yeah, that was pre beepers too, pagers. So we didn't have cell phones, and we didn't have beepers and fax machines and all the nice handy gadgets we have today.
Yeah, you weren't driving around in a Flintstone vehicle, were you?
Might as well been. It was a '79 Chevy with no AC, and I'm in the middle of the desert in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, for the listeners who know us out here, we're in the desert where it's like 120, for months on end, and that's got to be a tough world. I remember the days when I had no air conditioning as well, but I wouldn't even think about it today. So basically, you got busy enough, like everybody else. I guess there was a network going on in those days. Everybody kind of sort of knew each other, and you got jobs back and forth like that. Is that kind of true?
Yeah, pretty much. Back then, when I started dabbling in installs out here, there really wasn't a lot of people that did strictly precast, so my name got around pretty fast. And we worked a big downtown renovation in '90 in Santa Barbara, and we had a big renovation of the hotel here in Palm Springs in '90, and so those were big projects for us, and it helped us get along.
Now, for people that don't understand what precast concrete is, why don't you give us a little education?
Well, it's decorative concrete, and you can use foam or you can use wood. Basically, what the concrete is, it's an imitation stone which they've been making for thousands of years in concrete and putting on buildings and building blocks and trims. So we make architectural precast concrete, and it's a wet cast mix that's put into molds and dries, and we pull them out of the molds, and then we ship them off to the job sites and install them or sell them to the consumer. It's pretty much like a cake pan. You take a cake pan, you fill it up with cake mix, you put it in the oven, you bake it, and you pull it out, and you got yourself a cake. Some products being more difficult than that to do, but that gives you an idea of kind of what we do.
Now, you can make these, for the listeners, probably have seen precast concrete without knowing what they were looking at. Is that a fair statement?
I would say that is a fair statement. When I was in Arizona, when I first got to Arizona, I was working in the marble industry, and I had never heard of precast and never really recognized it driving down the road until the day I started working for somebody installing precast, and then there it was everywhere.
Right.
So you're going to look at all your old buildings. All your old buildings is precast. Some of it's limestone, some of it's limestone product used into concrete. But your old libraries, your White House, all your government buildings, they're all loaded with precast.
So they're like arches and columns and trim and stuff like that?
Arches, columns, wall trims, wall panels, wall caps, fireplace surrounds, yeah, windowsills.
And signs, too, because you make one-of-a-kind signs, too.
And also signs, yes.
Yeah, I saw in one of the pictures looked like a Veterans Memorial sign or something. Did you do that?
We did a sign, that was for a school down in San Diego. And then there was another sign you might see, that was just bits and pieces of precast incorporated into a sign in a cemetery. We did another sign for a school, which I don't think you've seen the picture on that one yet.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, and I've seen in the desert out here, you drive along and you'll see signs that are made. Clearly, they're made one of a kind, and that's I would presume that's a precast concrete product. Like if you're driving into La Quinta, you might actually see a sign that says that says La Quinta.
Yes, yeah. Some of them are precast. Some of them are steel framed and stuccoed with letters on them. But there's quite a few of them that are made out of precast.
Exactly. And now, okay. So the internet came around. Did you guys in the beginning do much with the internet?
Not really. Old dog, new tricks wasn't working with me.
You had a guy that you had hired to actually do your first website, right?
Yes, we did. When we started the manufacturing precast, actually the only thing I knew about precast was putting it on a building. Mm-hmm. And so we started from scratch. I mean, basic scratch. We taught ourselves how to do this and how to do that, and we taught ourselves how to make the molds, hired the right people, got good people in here to do the job. And we started our own drawings purchased a CAD drawing program, and I bought a couple books and sat them down and said, here you go, build me a website. And that he did.
And you were a true entrepreneur. Just, you needed it, so you went out and figured out how to get it. A lot of people would never have the wherewithal or the guts to actually try something like that. I was pleased to see that you throw a guy a book and say, okay, a year later you got a website, and in its day, I think it was a very good website too.
In its day, it was. That was back in 98, 97, when we took over the building, and in 98, the beginning of 98, we started renovating the office and the shop and getting everything ready to go, and so it was in the early stages of the internet. It was early stages for me, anyways.
Right. Now, you also, being an entrepreneur, you had to have an edge to compete because it is a fairly competitive marketplace, isn't it?
It is, more so now than it was then. But I always thought that my edge was because I had so many years' experience of installing the precast, and I knew what we wanted to do that I wasn't getting from somebody else, that's the direction I would head, and try not to repeat the things that other people do.
Right. And
there's a lot of fine people out there that do manufacturing.
And that's a great benefit, I would think, for the end user, whether that be a contractor or a homeowner, right?
I like to think so.
Well,
sometimes, when it comes, we do a lot of bid work, and sometimes we just kind of know a little bit too much, and our bids are very thorough, and someone else that doesn't have the experience of installation might miss what we don't miss. So we end up bidding the job 99.9% of it we have on paper, where somebody else might have it at 80%. So sometimes it hurts us, but in the long run, it does help.
I think giving your background and your knowledge to the potential client should be a very good plus, you would think,
You would think so, yes.
Yeah, well, no hidden fees, no hidden oops, I didn't calculate that. I don't know about you, but I've had contractors say, "Well, I didn't know it was going to be like this. It's going to cost extra," and you hate that. You just hate it. So being more thorough like that has got to be a great benefit. Now, the business is changing, I think, as John and I have seen along the way, that I think more and more people are doing business on the web, like you and I talked. Rex, that a lot of your end clients are doing mobile searching with mobile phones, for example, or mobile devices. And so that's clearly changing the way they're doing business. A lot of sites don't have mobile sites. A lot of websites aren't mobile enabled. Yours will be, obviously, in time here. But so you want to talk about maybe the nature of the change that you've seen in the old good old boy network where you're knocking on doors, and now we're kind of going into a digital age where maybe they're looking more at you from a website standpoint, and then like I know you have a PDF for your catalog. You've had to develop that and send it out. You want to talk a little bit about the differences from the old school to heading to the new school for an entrepreneur?
Well, in the old school, of course, you knew everybody you dealt with because you were face to face. We didn't have technology to send emails and pictures. And when we do a bid back there in 1982, we had to drive all the way across Phoenix and hand deliver the bid and drive all the way back. And then the fax machine came out, and I bought my first fax machine at $700 because I was paying $3 a fax down at the corner.
Oof.
And I started keeping track to see how long it would take me to pay for that fax, and I quit making notes after 3 days. So then we went in, of course, to the cell phones and the beepers, and now the internet, and everything we do here is internet. There's so many people we deal with I've never met. We're just strictly, we talk on the telephone, and we email back and forth and send plans back and forth and bids back and forth and get a job, go to the job, and I still haven't met them. So it's got its good points and its bad points. You were always, back then, you were the old good old boy handshake. How you doing? Let's do a good job together. Today, you might not meet those people.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because I got a chance to discuss with you your various jobs that you've accomplished over all these years, which is impressive, by the way. If you think about being in business for 28 years, there's not a lot of people that can say that, and you've survived really, really tough times and enjoyed the really good times, likewise. But you've had jobs that were obviously smaller jobs all the way to some pretty large jobs. And you all seem to just handle that no matter, the old saying comes to mind, no job too big, too small, right? And
That's right.
you guys actually eat, live, and breathe that for a business. You want to talk about no job too big or too small, and maybe how you handle the big jobs differently than the little jobs, even if you do so.
Well, the little jobs, of course, are there is the general public that comes in and they buys a $100 bowl or a $50 paver or part or this or that, and then the larger jobs are very technical. You have to follow certain protocol. Everything has to go in the order that it falls in. You don't want to skip orders and skip protocol, rather. And when you get into city jobs, they're a lot more difficult today than they were 5 years ago. There's not as much work today as there was 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, everybody was busy and pumping out work, and the architects would give you the plans, and you just move on. And the submittals were much easier back then because nobody had time to really review everything, which in the end, you still had to put up a safe product, a good product, and a good job that the customer was happy with. And today it's harder. It's much harder today to do a job, a $200,000 job, than it was back then. It's harder to do a $20,000 job today than it was a $200,000 job 5 years ago. It's just it's the economy and the change of times. Everybody's got time on their hands, and actually, the more time you have in your hands, the longer it takes you to do something.
Now, the being more difficult is there more regulation, more hoops you got to go through, or city?
There appears to be a lot more hoops to go through these days. There's specifications for a project, and every project's a little bit different. And The specifications are sometimes written with accuracy, and the client knows exactly what he wants, word for word, in these specifications that might be 3, 4, 5 pages long for something simple as ours. And you have to follow each and every specification, and if you don't, it throws a wrench into the wheel, and everything stops. And the people that monitor the project have time to say, wait a minute, you missed this sentence here. We want to know why that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it really wasn't pertinent to the job as well. We still need to know why it didn't happen. So people have a lot of time in their hands right now to scrutinize your work, and so it makes the job a lot harder. But if you go into the job knowing what you need to do and you do it correctly, then 90% of the time you're going to get through it just fine.
Now, also being a business owner, you've got employees in California, which I wouldn't wish on anybody. Uh, have you seen the regulations from the cities, the EPAs and stuff getting harder for you to do business, or about the same?
They're killing us. They're killing us.
And how so? Can you give me some examples of that?
It's taxing on taxing on taxing on taxing. I have a desk in here I paid $15 for 25 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I've paid more tax on it than I have paid for the desk. Every year you got to pay tax on your chair. You pay, and every businessman knows this in California. You pay tax on your table. You pay tax on your chair. You pay tax on your coffee, your end table. You pay tax on your computer. And the regulations in the manufacturing, well, the states need money, so they're on you for. You have to pay tax and licensing for an air compressor. You have to pay tax for a fan. It's tough doing business in California.
Yeah, especially having manufactured in California, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get busy enough and make enough money that you can get past it, sometimes it doesn't bother you quite as much, as long as you're making a fair dollar. But when times are tough and they're asking you for money that you're not getting, it makes it difficult.
Yep, and everybody's getting squeezed, and there's a lot of manufacturing closing up. As you see around, I don't know in your business, but
a lot of people have not weathered this storm. Yes, I have many friends that did not weather the storm.
Yeah, and so I think one of the key things is for any entrepreneurs, we're doing business differently now. It's more web-based. It's more your introductions seem to be more web-based. People coming to websites and taking a look at stuff or watching videos or whatever that may be seems to be playing more and more of an important role in the purchasing decision equation. Have you seen that to be more true than not?
Well, I haven't had a real strong presence out there in the internet with the old website that we have, which is going to hopefully change very soon with your help, and so we'll see. I mean,
well, the way you do business, I mean, we do business differently. I mean, I think you do it too. I mean, you go to somebody's website, you see what they've got, whether you want to do business with them or not. I think almost universally that's becoming more the norm of how to do business these days. So I mean, even you might be doing that.
I take what I can get. Pretty much.
Well, now, other interesting things about your business and I'm still learning it, but you've got an incredible mold making capability at your facility. You have a very large mold making area, and I don't think that a lot of people understand you can take one of a kind type things and make molds for those one of a kind things that are very unique for a do-it-yourself person or somebody's going to remodel to have something very unique. You're completely capable of doing that and making it affordable, particularly the Frank Lloyd Wright stuff you did. Would you talk a little bit about the Frank Lloyd Wright project that you have?
Well, we had a customer come to us a few years ago when times were good. This is when everybody was building and everybody had a little extra money to spend, and she loved the Frank Lloyd Wright that was on the Biltmore Hotel in Phoenix. And that was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. And actually, there was a block manufacturing company at that point in time that took that design and incorporated it into their block. And they built the building with the block. And it had it had this facial design on it. And so she brought us a picture, and she says, I want to do the inside of my house just like this. So we started from scratch and started drafting out some stuff for her to look at. And once she approved the drawings and we got to where she liked it, we started not casting, but carving out of plaster a model for her. And she was going to take this part and she's going to cut it in sections and make it work around corners. And she had a gentleman to do all that work for her. And once she approved the plaster part that we built for her, then we proceeded to make molds and poured her product. And then she did about 90% of the interior of her house in these custom pavers.
Yeah, I'll have a picture on this podcast of that particular job too. And I understand she's maybe wanting some more work done too.
Yeah, we had heard a couple of weeks ago she's going to come in and order some more parts. She's making another addition to her house or completing another area. So we're waiting on her to come in to do that and work with her.
I'm waiting to get in to do a video on that. But go ahead, John. I think you have a question.
Yeah, that stuff looked pretty amazing. It's like it's weathered, and like the blocks are weathered almost as if it was the outside of some centuries old or age old building in Europe or something. Just right there in her house, in the middle of the house. It's pretty amazing looking.
Yeah, it is kind of neat looking. It really is.
John, you were discussing typing back and forth here. Molding concrete really doesn't sound possible, and I think people don't know, Rex, that you can mold concrete.
Well, yeah, they've been doing it for thousands of years, and concrete is temperamental. You wouldn't think so, but it has its own. What do I want to say? Not quite sure of the word I'm looking for here. But
versatility, pliability, something like that.
No,
it's the way it sets up, I would imagine.
It's its own attitude, maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
it does what it wants to do, when it wants to do it, and how it wants to do. And what we're trying to do, and all casters that do this, is trying to change it and make sure it does what we want it to do when we want it to be done. For instance, we have certain colors that we pour, and they're a tough color to pour. And we'll make a batch of concrete and out of one wheelbarrow pour it into 5 different types of molds, and we will get 5 variations of shaded color, and none of them will match each other. And it came out of the same batch.
Wow.
And you just, you never stop learning with concrete, because it's gonna turn around and it's gonna bite you the next day and teach you a new lesson.
You also make, by the way, concrete columns. I mean, I thought they were solid, but they're actually hollow and very decorative. And online,
no, these are
you have hollow ones, right? I mean, most of yours, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What they are, it's basically a veneer wrap. When you build your house and you got your steel structure that does all the structural work, then the columns just wrap around the steel structure or wood structure and hides the structural unit and presents it with a nice architectural finish.
It's phenomenal stuff. And you do drawings, and people can come and take a look at the different column designs, and it's almost reminds me of Legos in a way. You know how you can mix and match stuff, and if they don't find something they like, you'll design it with them, right?
That's a fact. Yes, we can do that. And you can take a lot of our fireplace moldings, and we have different fireplaces, and you can take the top of one fireplace and you can put it on the bottom of another, and you can mix match parts and create a totally new fireplace that's not in our catalog. So there's so much we can do.
You're not going to get that at Home Depot.
No, you're not.
You're not going to get that at the big box stores. And that's, it's almost like designer concrete. If you think about it,
yes,
designer concrete.
That's a great term.
It is. I think we ought to use that. I coined a tagline. Everybody has a tagline. One that I use for InfoCard is "Excellence is no accident." And you guys, I gemmed up one. Unparalleled excellence in precast concrete products, and you are unparalleled. I mean, the stuff that you're able to do and the affordability of it, and the wide array of design capability, it's just, I don't know, to me, I wouldn't have guessed it, and And it's like designer products at big box prices is what it kind of sort of is. It's an animal of two different types. I mean, who else is going to sit and work with you and make a Frank Lloyd Wright piece of concrete that absolutely looks like it's been around forever and make it affordable? I don't know who would do that.
Well, that's what we're here for.
That also brings the point, you've obviously worked with architects, that's been a standard, and general contractors to a large extent. And, I'm thinking, geez, the do-it-yourself guys might just absolutely be an untapped market, especially if they can get custom stuff at do-it-yourself prices, so to speak. And John and I have both been looking at going down that road too, what we might do, but it's almost a boutique market in a way. But why not?
Well, what's nice about the do-it-yourself guy that comes in there that has some experience in, a little bit of carpentry, a little bit of masonry, a little bit of drywall, or this and that, and he wants to fix up his room, but he's never dealt with the precast. We can teach him.
Yeah.
We'll show him what he needs to do and how and when, and this is how you go about it, and when you're done, if you follow these steps, you're going to have the end product that you're looking for.
And I think the people with the housing market, I mean, everybody's buying these bank-owned properties, repo properties, and fixing them up. I mean, what better than to jump in if they have a fireplace is you have a fireplace kit, so to speak, right? In various versions, but you can literally redo an entire front face of a fireplace. Why don't you talk about your fireplace product? I won't do it justice.
Well, it all starts with a design of some sort, and we have many designs here that we can use. And customer will come to our place, and they'll say, we want to take the old fireplace out. It might be an old wooden mantel, or it might be some brick or some tile, and they want to dress up the room. And we'll sit down with them, and we'll talk about what they want to end up with. A lot of times we never need to see the inside of the house. We give them a piece of paper. It has the dimensions on it, and they just give me a few dimensions. And we draw the room so we know what size fireplace needs to go in the room, because you don't want to oversize a mantle in a living room or undersize it.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to fit the room. So when we're all done and we work with the customer, they say, no, I don't like that, or yes, I like that, and we move forward and forward until we come to a place where the customer says, that's what I want. Then we build it for them and install it for them, and everybody's happy.
Done deal. Yeah. Now you have quite a few different fireplace designs up on the web, so I mean, I would think that they'd start there.
Yeah. Well, we do have quite a few, and probably 60% of those could be changed by using the other portion of the fireplaces. And you might have one fireplace that has a nice mantle with a smooth round column. Somebody else might want that same mantle with a spiral column,
mm-hmm.
or a square column,
mm-hmm.
and or a full column. And you really want to make them big mantle. We can make mantles as big as you want.
Mm-hmm.
We've made them as deep as 24 inches and 10 foot wide and 9 foot high.
Right.
So you can take one fireplace and make it as you can take one design and make it as big as you want to.
Right. I think I have a picture that I can show for our video piece of one of a larger fireplace like that too. But you can actually mix and match pieces a little bit then, as I understand. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that gives lots of flexibility, I would think, from the standpoint of look, touch, and feel. I want this, but I want it to feel this way, like a Roman fireplace or whatever. I'm not so sure what other types there would be. I'm sure there's tons of them, but yeah, that's really amazing, and to be able to do that. Let's go back to the bowls for a minute. Now, these bowls, when you first think of a cement bowl, I first thought, what the heck do you do with a cement bowl? Well, after doing some research, you can have a fire pit in that cement bowl. You can fill it full of sand and bubble natural gas in there and have, like I say, a fire pit. You can have flower pots or flowers, water and fire. And I mean, really, it's extremely versatile what you might do with a concrete bowl. Do you want to talk about some of that?
Well, we've had, we sell our bowls. We have a 16-inch bowl, which is great for your kitchen table or your coffee table. And then it moves up to a 33-inch and to a 48-inch and a 60-inch. And we've used them all for, each and every one of them has been used for a water feature of some sort or a fire pit feature, and it's relatively inexpensive for the customer to come in and they buy a bowl and they take it home and they put it together and they add some gas lines and add some sand, and or some people they'll fill them up with glass, cut glass, broken glass, and have a dancing fire on top of it. There's really no end to what you can't do with them.
Now, do you sell to or partner up with at all any pool manufacturers? Because you've got these elegant columns that could look like you're in the Greek Parthenon, and now you got bowls that you could have water features going into the pool and fire coming out the top. Are you working with or looking to work with any pool manufacturers to increase your sales or increase their ability to do add-ons for pools?
We do work with pool contractors quite often. They'll come in and usually they're picking out, we do a pool coping for them. And we have a variety of double bullnose caps that in different sizes that they'll use for pool coping. And then occasionally throw a planter bowl in there and put some fire in it, or put a plant in it, or make a water feature out of it. So yes, we are working with pool contractors.
Yeah, we ought to have a section on your new web for just pool contractors, it seems to me, with product and idea. Seems like that
would be interesting.
Might be a good thing, because they have their ups and downs, and but they're still in business. You know, I did a big web for Sunset Pools and Spas in Anaheim, and went to work with them for 3 months just to try to understand their business. So I could get the sales process down and get the products down. But I was shocked. I saw everything from rock pools, where they actually come in and make rock, to water features, to caves. They had a cave pool. It was really crazy. They have creeks and they run into the pool, and they can do all kinds of very interesting stuff. But I didn't see, like you shared with me the other day, one of the magazines, I had not seen water and fire bowls anywhere before. So maybe that's new, but it sure is elegant. It sure is striking for people. So those bowls that you have can certainly be a very versatile thing. The other aspect I liked about the bowls, if you go to a big box store and you want to buy a bowl or plastic, you put them out there with some flowers, right? 3 years later, it all falls apart in the sun. You've got a cement product that has longevity at a great value. Why the heck would you buy a plastic bowl, when you could have something more of a permanent feature that would last? I think there's a great value there that people don't look at.
Well, I hope you're correct. Yeah.
Well, time will tell. Now, so you would like to, now, if people are listening to this, how far away? I mean, would you do work in Arizona? Would you do work in Nevada? I mean, can you sell stuff and ship it? How far does that go? Is there a distance that's cost prohibitive? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, we've been fortunate enough to have a few designers here, and the designers will come in for their winter time. And they'll come here for the winter to do some work, and they have a place here. And we've worked with some designers here that live in New York, in Minnesota,
really?
And Florida. So we have shipped products, back east, in Florida, New York, Minnesota. There's a little bit of a cost to shipping concrete across the country, but if it gets the customer what they want, then everybody's pleased.
Yeah, I've just recently, both John and I have started selling a knife throwing target online, and it almost costs as much to send the darn thing as it does to build it. But it's the only one like it, and people tend to want to buy it. They want it, and they don't really care about the shipping. They want that target. So I imagine it'd be the same type of thing. If, like you say, if the customer really loves the product and wants that thing, they really don't care about the shipping issue.
Yeah, the shipping is a factor sometimes, but if they're not in a big hurry, there's ways to package it and ship it a little less expensive. Might take 2 weeks to get there. So it's all based around your budget and your time budget and your money budget.
Yeah, you've got millions of dollars invested in molds. I mean, your place has got, stacks and stacks and stacks of molds. I was just shocked. you know, if you don't have a mold for it, I'd be surprised if you even have to make one with all the molds that you've got.
Well, it's quite amazing when they draw a windowsill on one of these stores, and the same architect will draw another window in another store and change the sill molding by a quarter inch. So we have lots of molds here that were just one-time molds. We made them for a job and never used them again, and then occasionally you get to use them again. So we do have a great inventory of product that's just waiting to be used again.
Yeah, no, and if you can reuse a mold, it obviously passes the savings on to the client too.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, then that's cool. So from a designer standpoint, you actually may have molds that make things really unique currently in existence. Where if they don't, then you certainly will, step up to the plate and design a mold too. You
Yes.
certainly have that capability right on site. And it's a big mold shop. I mean, I guess a lot of places have almost a water closet size mold making capability, where you guys are certainly fully featured to make bigger molds, quicker molds, multiple molds to save your clients money and time in particular too. I guess those two are interchangeable. Time is money, and money is time.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to several precast plants, and their mold shop was 25% less than ours or 50% less than ours. We're fortunate enough that the building that we took over had one separate room, and it's a very large mold shop. We could build a boat in there if we needed to.
Hey, a cement boat. There you go.
Yeah,
Archimedes,
they
principle of
do float.
buoyancy, would support that. Hey, and I've heard that you have a hidden rabbit mold somewhere around your place. I still want to see that darn thing. You
Yeah,
know?
I got a little rabbit mold I bought at a cake store. That's cute. Just fill it up with concrete. You got a little rabbit.
I might buy one of those because I'm a big rabbit fan. That might be fun. Have a bunch of rabbits, cement rabbits out front, to scare the real rabbits. Yeah, maybe I'll get some real good YouTube footage of real rabbits trying to have sex with the cement rabbits. That could be good.
I'll pour you one
That might draw.
tomorrow.
Oh, okay, good. Make sure it's gray with a white tail. We can paint the tail. So, John, do you have any questions at all there, Sir John?
Well, I think I'm a bit surprised at how dynamic this concrete molding is. I'm just one of those people that never really thought about it that much. And you say concrete, and I just think of the walkway. And I find it really interesting that you can do so much with it, and especially that it's almost like pottery or something. You can just make it to order. Of course, I'm not sure it's not that easy on your end, but to order it and then get it is that easy on my end, or whoever decides to be your customer.
The other thing I think, John, that's pretty phenomenal. If you look through those pictures, the arches and the columns that Rex builds are incredible. I mean, they really, really stand out, make something that's a plain gate into a yard, for example, into a work of art. And I thoroughly believe that one of our other contacts, Jaeger Metal gate guys, they make these absolutely phenomenal gates. You join Rex and Kurt together from Jaeger, and you'll have a dynamic duo. And that's one of the things I'm going to set out to do, to see if I can make that happen. But boy, it really does. It's a game changer, and I don't want to make it sound less than, but Rex is more a facade than anything, right?
Yeah. Yes. We're strictly veneer. We
Right.
make things to
Not weight bearing.
cover up what you don't want to see.
Yeah, but I mean, out here, Rex, we see a lot of these stucco walls around houses, and they'll have an opening for a gate, and there'll be a wrought iron gate. What a great thing to put a facade around that, like pillars and an arch. I mean, shoot, wonderful stuff. Great
Yeah.
addition. Property value goes up because your curbside appeal goes up dramatically. And I think that Kurt's saying the similar thing. They're putting these gorgeous gates, and entry gates and any car gates, and they're wonderful, absolutely. And the curb appeal for sellability, if you're looking to actually invest in your house, they always say don't put a pool in, you will never get your money out. Put in an extra bathroom with all the permits, you can get money out of that. But I think there's a lot to be said for curb appeal, and if these are veneers that absolutely take the property to the next level, who the heck wouldn't want to do that?
It does change the curb appeal of the house. You can build 3 houses in a row; they're all the same, and you throw concrete columns on the house in the middle, and it's just totally different.
It's like a completely different build.
Yes, it
like
is.
the same builder didn't do it, and yet they did. So yeah, and I've seen some of the patio stuff out by pools that you've done with these gorgeous columns and stuff. My God, you'd swear you were in Greece. You know, you expect to see a Roman walk by any minute. They're wonderful, and it completely changes the character of the pool or the backyard completely. It's phenomenal stuff.
Well, thank you.
So landscapers, I want to get these landscapers excited about this stuff because, for a relatively small investment, they can dramatically change the look of that backyard.
Yes, you can. Yeah,
And,
really.
And who wouldn't want that? These fixer-uppers, and turn around and sell them. Heck, it might even be argued with a backyard that's got columns and a shade and all the types of things you do. But you turn that property quicker, probably for more money, because people like that stuff. So veneers, I would hope to think that for the do-it-yourself market or the flip market, the flipping properties, they might really seriously want to look into how affordable your stuff is versus their sellability to turn around to flip the darn thing. That could be a huge advantage that they currently don't understand today. But,
you speak quite a bit of looking like you're expecting a Roman to walk by. We were working with a company here in town, and it was a country club. So they bought our stackable columns, and they had them stacked up in different heights, and they took grinders and they cut the tops of the columns, the shafts off, and broke them all up, and so they go up out of the air and they're busted off like they've been there for thousands of years, and there's no capital on it, it's no top, it's just a partial column, and it really looks interesting.
Wow. Yeah, automatic ruins, like a Greek ruin. Wouldn't that make a phenomenal setting around a spa?
Oh, it's exactly where it's at. It's one of the country clubs with a big swimming pool and lawn chairs, and
yeah,
I can get you in there too.
I'd love to see that. I met that whole thing of building. Not to bring up a side note here, but there's a website called Second Life, and it literally is your second life, and you can build in there. And I used to be a builder, so I built houses and ruins, and I built a whole Greek palace at one point, and you struggle to get these ruins, so you build it, and then you knock it down like an earthquake would shake it, so it actually would fall the correct directions, so that stuff was magic. People love that stuff. So I can imagine in real life, if you had a spa or a pool connected to a spa, and you put in Greek ruins, oh shoot, how cool would that be?
That would be cool.
Yeah, I want it. Too bad I live at the Salton Sea where I can't have a swimming pool. But hey, I might be able to have Greek ruins out here. I hadn't thought about that. But that could be really, really interesting. Wow, what a thought. Well, all right, John, do you have any closing comments at all?
No, sure. I'm just blown away by what you can do with this stuff. I
think we're scratching this.
I just have to go keep looking at all these photos of all these different things that you can do with it and the settings that you have it in, and then I'll be able to notice it in real life when I see it in all these situations. Like I had no idea how that what that was made out of.
Can you imagine Roman ruins around your pool, John?
Well,
how cool would that be?
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited now. Rex, I'm going after the pool market. Gosh darn it. I'm excited by that. Pool packages. I'm liking it. Yeah. Well, all right. Sounds good. Well, hey, Rex, thanks for coming on the podcast. Hopefully it wasn't too painful for you.
Well, thanks for having me, Peter. And John, it was a pleasure to meet you.
All right, gentlemen. Well, we're going to sign off, and this will be up on a website here by the morning, and I'll send everybody their copies. All right?
Fantastic.
All right,
Very
guys.
nice.
Have a good one. Thanks
You too.
again.
Thanks,
Thanks
Pete.
again, Rex.
All right,
Thank you
Peter.
very much.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you later. Talk to you later.
All right, thanks, John.
Thank you. Bye.